In 2010, Coronation Street celebrated its 50th year on air. It marked the occasion both on and off screen. As well as some fantastic stories that culminated in a tram smashing down onto the cobbles, fans were also treated to special anniversary DVDs, CDs, books, and yes, even a truly terrible video game. Today, we're going to be using Corriepedia's Ultimate Character Survey to take a look at the characters who made their debut in the following decade. And that's going to take us right up to modern day Corrie, but there's still one more video to come, more on that later. But for now, let's get right on with today's video. Right, so we're on to the penultimate page on our character profile, Ultimate Character Survey thing from Corriepedia. You'd have thought that this many weeks into it I'd know what I was doing. But never mind, this is the characters who debuted in the 2010s, that decade with a weird name that nobody really knows what to call it. Gemma, are you ready for this?
Yep.
Last week we found out that the 2000s, though there were numerous additions to the cast in that decade, there was an awful lot of, ones, wasn't there? Did we give anyone a 5 last week? I can't remember now.
Don't think we did, no.
Whereas in the 90s, there seemed to be loads and loads of classics. So I don't know what happened in the 2000s. It just seemed like they were throwing new characters at the programme and none of them seemed to stick. They just kind of flopped off afterwards. So I don't know what's the 2010s going to be like. There aren't as many new ones here. It doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't have as many new characters. I guess it's just that a lot of the characters that they introduced in that decade are still in the programme now. So we did that week one when we did the current characters. So we're looking at the characters that came and went in the last decade, starting off with Owen Armstrong.
This can't be a very good crop, really, if you think about it in those terms of who was introduced in the last 20 years, who isn't still here.
Yeah.
Not going to be a great, necessarily, great batch.
That's true. So we've got the last 10 years to see who hasn't made it.
The last 10 years, yeah.
Owen Armstrong.
I think I
like him more
I
than
liked,
me, don't you?
I liked him more than you did. In the end, found him... I didn't like him, but I found him to be a good source of conflict for characters, which I think sometimes can be missing from the show because there's always a bit of a... Sometimes I think it's easy for the writers to either make someone likeable or funny or evil. And there's not very many grey characters. And Owen was definitely a character like that because he was not necessarily likeable, but he introduced conflict.
Yeah.
And you need that for a good story sometimes.
He's just the sort of character archetype that I don't particularly enjoy on Coronation Street. The
Gruff
kind of
builder.
Yeah, gruff, exactly, alpha male sort of character. But then equally, I like Charlie Stubbs, and he was kind of gruff, wasn't he? But I think he was a bit more charming than Owen was.
He was evil.
And I've watched.
Owen wasn't evil.
He wasn't. He was just.
He just had no time for nonsense and stupidity and...
No, I thought I wouldn't like Len Fairclough, but having watched the 60s and 70s episodes now, I was quite pleasantly surprised by him.
He's a little bit like a Len, isn't he?
Yeah.
He had lots of challenges with Faye. Like when she killed all the fish in his pond.
Oh god, yeah. Did he hit her after that? Did he give her a bit of a slap around the back of the legs?
That was one of the big things between him and Anna.
Yeah, because he went out with Anna, didn't he?
So I liked him. I give him a 3.
I think 3 is probably fair for Owen. I think I'd probably give him that as well.
I didn't like him. I enjoyed his character.
Okay, what about his daughter Katie then?
She's
brought
an
in
idiot.
His potential love interest for Chesney, and they did have a thing going for a little while, didn't they?
I mean, they had a thing.
Chesney was good at pulling the old babes, wasn't he?
If you call a thing a baby, they definitely had one of those, didn't they?
They did have a baby. Yeah,
a bit of together.
Forgot about Joseph, but I think Chesney and Gemma have also forgotten about Joseph in reasons.
What an insipid child.
I know.
An insipid mother, an insipid father.
I'll tell you what, Car Crash is too good for her.
Gosh. It offs a lot of people off screen, doesn't it? The old Car Crash.
Yeah. I do feel bad for Georgia May Foote, the fact that she was dumped off the show, basically.
I know that there was some sort of behind the scenes gossip about potential storylines about things that she turned down.
I can't remember that. You have to tell me that one later.
I'll tell you that later. But I mean, to give her a 2 would be a bit overstating the mark, wouldn't it?
Oh, she can't be a 1. But then is she only not being saved from a 1 because she's fairly fresh in our heads? And we go, well, at least we remember her.
I'll give her a 1.
Wow.
I honestly
Armstrong,
think if you come back to this in 10 years, you will be like,
She really wasn't that exciting a character at all, was she?
Beautiful actress. I don't know that she was given a lot to do with Katie. Don't really know that she flexed a lot of thespian.
Wasn't she going to be Izzy's surrogate for a bit at the beginning?
She had, didn't she? She also gave birth on Christmas.
Oh yeah, she was Mary, wasn't she?
So, and she still gets a 1. So
yeah, sorry, Katie. You were never going to get a 5, so why not a 1?
Kylie.
Oh, Kylie.
Now,
this is another one that you like more than me.
I much prefer Kylie and David together than Shona and David, and you are a Shona and David fan.
I'm totally a Shona and David
fan. I don't understand how you can be in the same universe as me.
She just didn't.
And think that Shona is a better partner.
Completely click with me.
Kylie is a maniac, and that's why I love her. And she died in such a tragic way, and she wasn't as good as Becky. But who is?
I kind of think that David is better as a lone wolf, to be honest. But
don't let himself get tied down by a bird.
I preferred David with Tina, and I know a lot of people didn't like those two together. So I think my idea of what makes a good partner for David is completely
wrong.
At odds with what everyone else thinks. I admit that David and Kylie did have some great moments together. I remember there was one bit where they went to a bar and they did like some sexy role play or something. Do you remember? They were like... They were pretending to meet each other or something. And that was great, but it just feels to me, looking back on their relationship, a whole lot of it was tragedy. Her taking drugs or going off on the lam or being wooed away by Callum. And...
I think this was an attempt to recreate the Steve and Becky drama, because obviously Becky and Kylie were sisters.
And Steve was definitely a leading man of sorts back 10, 15 years ago, and he still is to some extent. And now David, more so, is one of the the flagship actors on Coronation Street, or Jack P. Shepherd, should I say. But I think you're right. And now I will say that she had a great exit, but it's also
bleeding out on the cobbles.
And then
David screaming into the sky.
I know that was cool.
Like a thundercat.
But I have to admit, I didn't really shed tears when I heard that Paula was leaving.
Give her?
I probably would give her a 3, but that's mostly because recognising her importance, and she was okay. I mean,
we wouldn't have Lily Platt without.
Yeah, I know.
4.
What does Lily bring to the programme? 4. I can see why people would say 4 for her, but she just doesn't float my boat. Who we got next? Cheryl. I can only say Cheryl in a Scouse accent because I can just imagine Lloyd saying it.
It sounded like a budgie.
So this was somebody who Lloyd went out with for a bit, and I think they made quite a nice couple. But then, and I'm guessing that he might come afterwards. Chris comes back. He was her ex, wasn't he?
Yeah, he pretended he had a brain tumour.
No, I thought he did have a brain tumour.
No, he pretended.
Did he? I thought he actually had one, but whatever.
Maybe he pretended it turned out he had one.
He was doing a bit of a Jeff and using medical conditions to try and get inside her knickers.
Cheryl, I mean, didn't make a big impact.
Chris has made less of an impact, but
I think they probably both get a 2.
Cause, do you reckon? I would go 2 and 1.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. Actually, 2 and a 1.
Yeah. It was kind of an interesting story, and it did make me feel frustrated and make me want to give the TV a bit of a shake when he came on and he stole old Cheryl away from Lloyd. But in the annals of Corrie history, they're just going to go down as blips, really, aren't they? So let's move on. Trevor, Bin Man.
I don't even know who this is.
I keep seeing people and saying, I think that was one of Janice's boyfriends. I think Janice had a string of completely unmemorable boyfriends, either that or I just don't know who the other guys are. I think Trevor was the one that she eventually went off with.
I don't remember this man at all.
I think he started off. I think maybe he fancied Carla at first.
I'm going to put him as a 1 because I literally don't remember.
He's got to be a 1. He was only a minor character. He was in it for a year or so. Yeah, nothing more to say about him.
Are these sort of chronologically added?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Paul Kershaw. Oh, no. We all know his catchphrase.
Who's next?
Whoa. Let's come back to that one later. But yeah, Paul Kershaw. His catchphrase is even... he was the one that's... Yeah.
It wasn't a catchphrase.
It wasn't, but that's what he's remembered for, isn't he?
He brought in
what we mean.
A really interesting story that he brought in was Leslie, his wife.
Yeah, that's true.
And Eileen, and that really sad ending. And
You're right, because he's remembered for that terrible storyline that he ended up leaving with. But actually, what he came in with, which was his wife Leslie, who had her early onset Alzheimer's, and he was trying to conduct a relationship with Eileen, and it was all very kind of awkward and, you know, morally quite grey. I found that fascinating. I know
thought
not
that was one
everybody
of
enjoyed it.
I really thought that was something that a soap does well, and they did it well in the show, because it was one of these, what would you do in this situation? The answer is not obvious. I don't know what I would do. Can you imagine if that happened to you? Wow. You know, how would you cope?
But we're not rating the story, are
No.
we? We're rating Paul, and he wasn't so hot, really.
He was a fireman.
2 for him,
Yeah,
do you think?
I think
Because
2 is fine.
he's memorable. I mean, he's going to go down in history for his Play the White Man. But
You said the words.
I said it. Okay, talking of characters that are going to go down in history. If you're if you're a landlady at the Rovers Return, your name's, you know, on the plaque on the ITV building, innit? But not the best. Michelle Collins, star signing.
Michelle Collins deserved better than Stella Price. Sadly, they hyped her too much. They made her do the accent, or she thought she could do the accent.
I know.
And she thought she could get away with sort of just mumbling and whispering, and that would be the same as being from Manchester, and it isn't.
She was just...
She had the beigest wardrobe in the world, and
Yeah.
you know, she could have worn orange and red, and she still would have looked beige.
To be a Rovers Return landlady, you need to have a bit of fire in your belly. You need to have a bit of spark.
Everything about her was so restrained.
Yeah, it really didn't work. She was like known as Stella of the back room, wasn't she, amongst certain fans? Because she would like go take them in the back and have a talk to them rather than just have it out with them in the bar.
One good thing about her was that she initiated the Battersby trio sisterhood.
Yes, because her big reveal was that she was Leanne's real mum, wasn't she? Because obviously when Leanne and Toya had come into it, we had Janice and Les, but they were never related, were they? It was stepsisters. Really. Janice is Toya's mum and Les was Leanne's dad. But yeah, this story established who Leanne's real mum was, and that was revealed to her on her 30th birthday, I think. So that was quite exciting. But yeah, Stella herself was just, she got hit by a car one time. She has a relationship with Jason. Do you remember? That was weird.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously of historical importance, because it shows that you can't. I think the trouble with signing Michelle Collins was the way that they were so triumphant about this, and they kind of almost deferred to EastEnders as like the better soap somehow. By saying like, you guys are going to love this because we got somebody from EastEnders and we're going to put them in Coronation Street, and everyone watching Corrie was like, why would we think this was good?
I'll tell you what, we're going to have a character that's going to be very similar to that coming up later, coming from Emmerdale. We'll see who that is. See if you can think of what I'm thinking about.
Would EastEnders fans be thrilled to, you know, have Kim Marsh come in? I don't necessarily think so. I think. The trouble is, you have to earn your spot, and she didn't. She came in like she already earned it elsewhere, and it's not transferable.
No.
You have to come in. You have to prove yourself. And she never got a chance to, because Coronation Street treated her like she was an established icon, and she never was. And it's not fair on Michelle Collins that this happened, but sadly that was the case.
In a way, it's what happened with Toya as well. Though she had been on the show a long time before, but she came back after a big...
situation.
Well, it's not exactly the same, but she came back after a big jump and almost straight into the Rovers, and the viewers were like, no, hang on a minute.
Well, I said before that Coronation Street needs the courage of its convictions if it's going to do things like this. And in a way, I understand what you're saying, because I do feel a bit like Stella and Toya both got hung out to dry by a show that had a big idea and then wouldn't put its money where its mouth was. You got to support the characters by giving them big, bombastic storylines and lots of opportunity to flex their muscles and prove why they have been given the role of the landlady of the Rovers, and then to just not back it up with anything. was nonsense. So
And we currently have Jenny is the landlady in the Rovers, which is a character who does have that fire in the belly, who does have that spark, who does have that big personality, yet still Coronation Street are massively underusing her.
yes, I agree. It's like
They've
they
got a
just
chance
think
to go back to the glory days of the Rovers
they
return, and
can't
they are not
coast
using
on,
it at the moment.
on the job titles what they're doing, and they've been doing it for since Stella Price. And it works with a character like Liz because she comes in and out of it, and she's got the background of being in the pub. Toya was a newcomer to the pub. Stella was a newcomer to the show. You have to earn your place. And Coronation Street needs to do a lot more work than it thinks it does.
Yeah. So what are we rating her then?
I don't know, 2.
Yeah. That's really bad that her landlady gets a 2, but I couldn't give her a 3.
It was a bad
Now, she
move.
brought along with her, I assume, we've got a couple of other characters as well.
Oh, now Eva was
Eva.
absolutely fantastic. She started
Eventually.
off like a ghost haunting the feast.
Yeah,
you didn't know who she was for a long time.
It took her a good year at least
She
to
spent a
find
lot of
her
time
feet.
standing at the bar with her arms clumped to her chest, sort of folded.
She was a bit of a cowbag, wasn't she?
She was like a moody teenager.
She was, and she went out with Nick for a bit and
Smashed up his wing mirrors.
yeah, and she was just not very nice. But when they gave her that ditzy personality, when they
And that
embraced
laugh.
the laugh, when they almost rosy-fied her,
They raquelled her a bit.
they did, yeah. That's when that brilliant
she was
personality came out.
She's a unique character in her own right, which is what you need.
Yeah, I miss her. I really, really miss
I
Eva
think
on this show.
Eva, Toya, and Leanne were a fantastic trio.
Yeah.
They were the best 3. Those 3 characters worked better than any other female relationship I've ever seen on the show, and I'm sorry to say that includes lesbian couplings as well.
What about did they top Ina, Minnie, and Martha?
Yeah, they were probably the originals, but those 3. I mean, Toya and Leanne work obviously really well because Jane and Georgia Taylor, Jane Dancy and Georgia Taylor, work so well together because they obviously have a great deal of affection for each other in real life and respect for each other, and they are great performers. They've worked together for so long.
They were cast together. They were brought in as a twosome.
They've been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
But to bring Eva into that mix somehow just adds an extra layer, and it's funny because she's a new character, but they just it works so well together because there's always that friction too. And that I bought them more than I buy any other.
Yeah, despite the fact that she was clearly tacked on as a third sister. I mean, Leanne and Toya aren't sisters, proper sisters, are
but
they?
And
then
we go.
I know.
They are.
But here comes a new. They just work so
but I mean,
brilliantly.
Toya and Leanne still work
Girl
really
power.
well, and we can see that in the storyline that's going on at the moment with Oliver and stuff, and that dynamic is still. But imagine if Eva was there,
I know
what would happen? Because she would be fantastic in that story because she would be the intermediary, and there is nobody like that at the moment. You've got Nick and Imran, who are the partners, but they are not impartial like Eva would have been. You're right. I
she
miss
was
her.
great. She had the comedy, she had the empathy in like the Martha
She
Stave
was like
story.
Raquel. She could break your heart.
Yeah.
That final scene
with Aidan.
with her and Aidan. She's so good at pulling the heartstrings.
Oh, I wanted to come back so much.
She's not a 5, but she's definitely a 4.
Yeah, I agree. She's not a 5, but talk
If
about
she was
a
in it still
turnaround
now,
for a character.
I would be thinking 5. She needs another 10 years, and she would be a 5.
Yeah.
And
Come
it's so sad
Come
that
on,
Catherine
Kath.
Tilsley's gone. She should come back.
Oh, totally. Now, what about this one? Gloria Price, Sue Johnston. Another big name brought in. Like, oh, look, we've got Sue Johnston. You know her from... Was she in Brookside, I think? She was in the Royal Family.
Yeah.
Big name in the British acting scene.
Comedic actress. I think it's important for us to say where people... what their backgrounds are, because Royal Family was one of these deadpan, like, mockumentaries. And
Also starring Andy Wymant, a.k.a. Kirk Sutherland.
Yes. And she didn't bring a lot of that to the role of Gloria, but it still really worked.
They tried to.
It wasn't very comedic.
They tried to be. I mean, she did things like was when she was pretending. Remember when she was pretending to be ill to try and trick Lewis Archer with Audrey?
Yeah.
There was the bit where she
got into scrapes.
There was didn't she try and cheat to get Pub of the Year with Newton and Ridley at one point?
She put stuff in a ballot box.
Yeah, like that.
I just don't think that it's not the same kind of humour.
No, there was something about her that just...
She's better than Stella.
Didn't work. She is better than Stella. I think a 3 seems fair enough for Gloria. I'm not in any way clawing for her to come back the same way that I am either. She was all right, but she went off with flipping Dennis Tanner. I'd forgotten about that.
How could you forget
that? She stole Dennis Tanner away from Rita. 1.
Shut up.
Okay, back to 3 for Gloria.
I think you'll find that Dennis Tanner makes his own decisions in life.
Oh, okay. Right, Sylvia, another matriarch. Roy's mum, introduced 20 years after Roy came into the programme.
I can't help
the battle axe from Hastings.
Feel disgruntled about the way she left the show.
I know, that really overshadows a lot.
And I've the circumstances were strange and I found it odd and unprofessional and I just can't get over it and it's my problem. And I'm sure she's great and the thing is, since she left the show she was in Inside Number 9 and she charmed me in that and I felt good about her character. So it's clearly you don't have a grudge against Stephanie Cole, but for some reason I have a grudge against Sylvia Goodwin for how the character left.
She did leave literally just after Hayley was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. She did a flip, didn't she? And then she just was on the end of the phone for a few years before popping her clogs. When was it? Last year, the year before that? I can't remember when.
She's
Sylvia
obviously
died.
an important character
because she
had
helped
to mould Roy into the man he was, and she left behind that mystery that brought into the show Nina.
That's true. That's
and her
very
dad.
True. But this is all stuff that was created for her, after she left. When she was there, she was all right. She came a bit too soon after Blanche, didn't she? I think people weren't ready.
Good. She was really good at her height. She worked really well.
I remember there being a funny scene where she was on hash brownies and then she was playing around with the bubbles in the sink.
Yes, singing.
Yeah.
I think she gets a 3.
Yeah, I think that's fair for Sylvia.
Yeah.
Could have been more. If she'd have been still in it now, I wonder whether they'd have created the character of Evelyn or whether, if they had, whether they'd get on.
Ooh.
Or whether they'd be mortal enemies.
I
think they'd be enemies, wouldn't they? Oh, no, yeah, we'll put these two together. I thought they'd be after each other.
Blimey.
Attempts to create a character for Lloyd that just
a family
for Lloyd that just did not work.
Mandy was all right.
Mandy was all right. Jenna was dull.
Jenna was one of these professional women that just don't fit into the street because they are on an intellectual level beyond most of the people and they just can't really fit in.
Well, Roy's on an intellectual beyond everybody else, so he fits in fine.
I think there's something different about some of these characters.
She was just bland, wasn't she?
There was nothing
Jenna?
About her.
No,
beyond.
She came in. She was Sophie's physiotherapist after was in that car. After she was hit by the car, and I don't remember much else about what happened. It was Mandy who had the tortoise that died.
Tortoise. Flash.
But Flash, that's right. She was cooking the Rovers for a bit as well, wasn't she?
Was she in the Rovers?
Yeah, she was, but not. She didn't feature much. They just didn't know what to do with them. It's family for
a 2.
Yeah.
And Jenna gets a 1. And
family for Lloyd, but don't know what to do with them.
I feel a bit mortified about how low we are scoring the black characters that have been in Coronation Street, because there was a slew of them that were put in the 90s, and then it's bad. They really need to give some good roles to characters, people of colour on Coronation Street.
Well, I mean, I think Lloyd is the most successful.
Yes, the Baileys are a sort of a fresh start.
Yeah.
But
still in the early stages, but I mean, the way they're going at the moment, they've got the definite potential to be, 1s and 2s if we come back to do this in 10 years' time, if they don't, butt their ideas up.
It makes me feel so bad to go through a series of black characters and go 1, 1, 2, 1. I hate this so much. I wish there were I wish there were some stronger characters to champion here. I think there's there's a lot to make up here. There's a lot of ground to make up.
We have got some Nazirs coming up if we're talking about characters of colour, and I think they might get a few points higher up the scale at least. Maddie.
Oh, I love Maddie.
Oh gosh, when
Look
she got
at her
blown
little
up.
face. I want to get her cheeky cheeks.
Oh,
she was
taken
like
before
my
her
little
time.
babby boo boo. I loved Maddie. She wanted to look at elephants.
I know.
She's looking at elephants in the sky.
She was great. It was sad. I mean, we sing her praises, but it just doesn't feel like she was in the show long enough.
She reminds me a little bit of what Abby would have been like if she hadn't gone down a dark path. Like, she's a no nonsense. She is a sort of a laddie girl. Yeah. She's not one for airs and graces.
Yeah, she works at the garage, didn't she? Didn't she do the valeting or something?
She was of sort of tomboy.
Yeah.
And there's not very many people
like
like that.
No, she was.
She was frank. She was
unique.
to the point.
I think that she was a great other half for Sophie, and to kill her off like that in the Victoria Court fire, tragic.
Got exploded.
But tell you what, the scene beforehand when she caught Jenny with her wig, classic. But real shame that they couldn't have just made her leave and then potential to come back.
It's a shame that they killed her off.
Yeah.
3.
Amy James Kelly was a great little actress.
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sinead.
Oh.
I forgot about Sinead.
Oh,
feels like she's still in it.
She is still in it. if you just fill her cardigan out a bit, it's like she never left.
Oh, no, this is a hard one. I mean, I would plump for a 3 for Sinead.
I never really liked Sinead.
I thought we did like her more at the beginning because she was brought in. She was a lot quirkier and kookier.
Yeah.
And then they made her,
more
real.
Away.
Yeah. And
she
then
used
they put
to
her
be
with
funny
Chesney
and weird, and her head was in the clouds. And then, Chesney was the literal death of her because it spiraled downhill after that, and the romance between her and the love triangle. Oh.
Sadly, she just grew up, didn't she? She was in the show for what, 5-6 years, maybe, or maybe less than that. I don't know, but it's a character that had real potential, I thought. And that, to be honest, when they brought her in as a girlfriend for Chesney, I was like, get him away from Katie. He's much more suited to Sinead, but it just
didn't work.
Didn't really work. You're right.
Nothing
Chesney
works with Chesney.
It's the kiss of death.
I'm so sorry. What can we do with him? I want there to be something that we can do with Chesney to make him likeable and interesting.
Oh,
there isn't.
I did quite kind of like her with Daniel, and I liked the Ken and Deirdre parallels that we had with those two, because Daniel's all about being a
intellectual
new Ken, and then obviously there was her tragic death last year, which Katie McGlynn showed what she was really capable of, and that storyline is going to be remembered.
See, because I never watched any of the Sinead dying scenes because I just refuse to watch them. Whenever I picture Sinead's final moments, in my mind, I substitute Tiny Tim from Muppet Christmas Carol. So she suddenly turns into a tiny little frog Muppet, just like laughing but coughing at the end of every sentence, and kind of like
God bless us, everyone.
And everyone's suddenly going, "Oh, Kermie." So I don't really take her seriously.
I would give her a 3, but I'd be edging towards a 4, but couldn't possibly give her a 4. And
no.
What are you saying?
3.
Not 2 though.
I mean, 2.5.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
sorry,
not got the chance to redeem herself now. Although I am really intrigued to find out whether they had her record a whole load of other videos that they will keep on showing. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if for Bertie's first day at school. I bet
she'd love it as well. Ka-ching.
They show a video of her. Yeah, I know. Or at Bertie's 18th birthday.
If they did that would be fantastic. And if they didn't, they're stupid.
They really should have.
Or they were being cheap.
I don't know whether there's rights to this, but anyway.
Well,
let's watch that space on this one. It's Andrea.
Andrea, love you, Bobby.
We are the Andrea fan club. We're the only members of it, I think.
I don't think that's true. Hayley Tomato.
She irritated a lot of people, but I bloody love her.
Firecracker. She is so cute, adorable.
I love her
She
smile.
is fun and bubbly and great, and so is Andrea. I want to wrap her up and stick her in a bubble and let her float around and entertain people because I just loved her.
She was the perfect girlfriend for Lloyd
was
as well.
always
After
laughing.
Mandy, that
And
was just didn't work.
I don't remember a lot about her. I don't remember something to do with history.
Yeah, well, she
lessons
met
and-
Steve, didn't she? Because he was doing history night school or something,
Yeah.
and he came into there, and he was telling Michelle there's this girl called Andrea, but she's really ugly and old or whatever, and then just because
And she
Michelle was
had
getting a
her-
bit jealous, and then she came in and
And she
obviously
had
looked
her
like
ex
this.
Neil, and he was hilariously crazy.
Oh yeah, because no,
And-
he wasn't even her ex. I thought they were actually married, weren't
And
they?
he sang, I
He
can
sang
make
Whole
it whole
Again
again.
together.
And then she climbed on the roof of the Rovers, I don't remember. And then she drove down the road in a convertible with
balloons.
Lloyd and went, goodbye, see you
Everybody
later.
hates the
And then
hanging
she
off the
came,
Rovers roof
and then
scene.
she
I
came
thought
back
it was
again
brilliant.
afterwards and went, I know I left, but I'm coming back again.
Oh man, I want her back even more. Oh, no, do I want her or Eva back more? I don't know.
Oh God.
This is a debate for another day, but
I think I want to give her a 4 because Sinead gets a 3. And
I've got really strong feelings
I love
towards
Andrea.
and I feel
and there's
that
no
she
reason
is...
that she would ever come back, really, without Lloyd.
No.
But I would do anything if she did.
Oh man, she's great. She's so great. And I mean, Hayley's gone off and done some great things as well, hasn't she?
She had a baby.
She has had a baby.
She created a human being.
Yes, more
which
than
was
we've
a pretty
done.
good achievement.
We saw her in Chicago as well, didn't we?
She was so good.
Oh, she's awesome. She's so good. Slaggy
Now,
Steph.
Slaggy Steph. Now, when she was first in it, she came in as Katie's slaggy friend,
Yeah,
didn't she?
they were just like
And we
fawning
did
over
not really know what the point of this
old
character
Ryan
was.
Prescott.
Didn't like her very much, and then we had a New Year's resolution where we said we're going to
did,
give
I've-
Slaggy Steph.
I distinctly remember we are
Slaggy
going to give
Steph.
Slaggy Steph a chance.
And she came up a blinder.
yeah, I liked her
They
in the
gave
end.
her some
old Tish.
plots. They gave her some background.
Yeah, they
gave
brought
her
in
a
her
brother.
brother. Yeah.
And she did a good job, I thought.
I thought that they had a really nice turnaround
I
for
would
her.
be happy for her to come back in the show.
Well, she did come back for a bit, didn't she?
She came back very,
in,
very
Pat
briefly
Phelan's, final
to
months
investigate her brother's death.
for like 2 episodes or so.
And it was nice to see her again.
Yeah. I mean, she's not. I mean, she's no major character, is she? She's.
And there was definitely that. There was a whole thing about revenge porn.
Oh yeah, there wasn't there? Yeah. And she was involved when Luke was doing his drag racing around the streets.
Yeah, I liked Steph.
I like.
She was
she
not
had a
significant in
fair
any
play
way.
to her. She had a great turnaround, but you're right. She wasn't significant.
So she
But
really.
she now is the significant other of Alan Halsall, so she's still there on the
Get
sidelines.
yourself under the.
They could bring her
back in.
back, but I don't see
Like,
why that they would.
Per significance, she's a 2, but because I really like her, I want to give her a 3.
Let's give her a 3. I think.
She
Yeah.
deserves a 3. She was
Yeah.
great.
And there's a
And
blow.
I really like Luke, and he had such a good death. Oh,
He had an awesome death. Oh my gosh! We just recently watched that villains program, the Corrie special on villains, and that it just brought it all back. Loved it.
Blowed up by Pat Phelan,
Yeah.
and the boy racer couldn't quite outrun a man in an ex-postal van. I like Luke.
I
he was a
liked him. I
decent
don't
guy.
think he really lived up to his potential.
He
He was
was a-
just the grease monkey, wasn't
He was the entrepreneur of the mule face scam.
Oh God, can't forget that.
4.
Also, 4?
Because
Seriously?
because
I was
listen,
going 2.
shut your mouth. Because he was, like Steph, a fairly insignificant character, so he gets a 2, right? But I also liked him. I thought he was a decent guy,
So
he gets a 3.
Yeah.
But then he died in an explosion, so he gets a 4. You get promoted if you die in an explosion.
Well, did Maddie get an extra point for dying in an explosion?
Let's just say yes, and not scroll back.
4 for Luke. Goodness me, I would have never thought you'd have rated him that high.
Well,
That's fine. You can.
thanks. Oh, now there's another guy who got exploded. He gets an extra point
There's
for
a
it.
lot of characters that got introduced and exploded in the last decade. Looking back on it, weren't there?
Now I look back on it, there were a lot of random explosions. Now, Cal was a bit of a downer, wasn't he?
Yeah. Jimmy Mystery, again, fairly big name before he came into Coronation Street. He'd been in that film The Guru and other things, I believe. Was he in Easter's East?
Been in more than one thing, probably.
He hadn't been in anything that we'd seen. Let's put it that way.
Other
He
than
was all
those
right.
things.
He was, he was involved in running the gym. He did those keep fit army sessions with.
Wasn't he? He
someone.
was Gary's friend, or did he
Yeah, I think so. I
from
think
the
he was.
army?
Yeah, yeah,
Where someone else got exploded,
yeah. And then he got together with Leanne, and
and she blew him up.
he's not going down in the Corrie history books, really, is
I
he?
give him a 2 because
Yeah.
he was a dull Nazir.
Yeah.
He was fine.
I certainly think that if he had stayed into it, they could have done more with him,
Yeah.
but they didn't give him a whole lot of a chance. He must have only been in it for a year or 2, so
Yeah.
2. Ah, Sharif.
Mark Anwar, a very controversial figure who got himself in hot water for his tweetings.
Yes.
Was he the first person to get fired for a tweet on Coronation Street? I know that
Maybe.
Chris Fountain got fired for a birthday rape rap song.
Yeah.
I also think if we say things like that, we get demonetized on YouTube, so we're not going to get any ad revenue for this.
Shucks. We've been raking at him before.
There's lots of things you can't say on YouTube. Did you know that?
Don't tell me.
I'll tell you all the words.
Tell me later. Sharif, I think he was a more interesting character than Cal. He had a
Oh, he
bit more
gets
of a
a 3.
personality to him because he was like the stoic, stern, rock
He was the
of
patriarch.
the Nazir family.
He was probably the most, the sternest patriarch we've had since Jim McDonald.
Yeah.
He tried to run his family with an iron fist, literally.
Yeah.
And Sharif was a very traditional man with traditional values, trying
he's-
to live in a modern world where those values are not very...
He's really
well
been
upheld,
vilified
right?
since the characters left.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that
He was-
Yasmin talks to him now doesn't
about him.
doesn't really reflect the way that I felt that he treated her during his time on the show.
No,
But
they had
he
a
was
very
having this.
standard relationship, but then we
Yeah.
found out that all along he'd been
He's
having,
been having
an
an
affair
affair with Sonia
which,
for
you
7
know,
years, which
on
was
the
like,
days that Coronation Street wasn't on.
really? That was a real.
He was
stretch.
also another one of these Asian businessmen that Coronation Street likes to have, entrepreneurial Asian men who involved in lots of businesses. But I mean, you can say the same about a lot of the white male characters, can't you? Because they all run their own businesses.
Yeah. So he was a bit of a dev, but without the humour.
He really did not have a sense of humour. But he was a big commanding presence.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like he was a serious entrepreneur, not like a Steve who just or a Tim who bumbles from
Yeah, because he was involved in the gym as well, wasn't
he? He was integral to opening it, wasn't he?
he? Yeah. I think he might have put in some of the cash.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded if he'd stayed. But I think, obviously he was asked to leave. But he has since said that he was going to be leaving anyway.
Yeah,
but
whatever, that's what I'd say.
I wouldn't have minded
So,
if he
guys,
stayed. I
I was
think he
gonna leave
had
anyway.
potential.
You can't
but,
tell me
I'm
to leave, I'm
not really
going.
missing him. And now Zidane, our final
Now,
Nazir
Zidane
today.
was another one who was vilified because he was treated like crap by fandom because he dared to be married to one half of the hottest new lesbian coupling in Coronation Street since ever. All he did was say, "I object to my wife running off with another woman," and somehow this was the worst crime that anyone's ever committed.
Fair play to him.
I don't think I'd be
happy.
happy about it if I was him.
His character, a bit
His
like
character-
Sharif, it was starting to go on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, it was.
He came in and
he came in like a sullen teenager.
Yeah.
Like for a while, he was just literally the sulky one on his phone who only cared about getting new trainers. And then he turned himself around.
I found his religious side very interesting, and he's one
He
of the
was a
most
more
devout Coronation Street characters we've ever had, and that was fascinating. A little insight into Islam and the scenes that we saw, the few scenes that we saw of him going to the mosque, speaking to the imam. I thought he had a really lovely relationship with Rana.
I would have
actually.
preferred them to have done more with this.
Yeah, but
I think they were scared.
The Corrie gods saw differently.
They were worried, and I mean, not wrongly, that there are so many pitfalls to depicting a sort of a very religious character these days. It doesn't really matter what religion it is, but
they do it
Islam
on
is a
some of the other
particularly.
soaps.
Yeah, I know, but
I think he's done does.
okay. Well, I haven't seen the
No.
other soaps, but I it was a missed opportunity and I think it's a shame that his character basically left under a cloud, like he was the one in the wrong when he was being cheated on.
Yeah, and
And also all the stuff with him being a chef, I really like that angle because I like cooking.
it came out of nowhere a bit, didn't it?
It didn't.
All of a sudden, he was the
sous chef.
second best chef in Weatherfield.
He was the sous chef in the bistro under Robert, and they did quite a lot of. They used quite a lot of his sort of background with Asian cooking because obviously Yasmin is a very good cook. He must have learned a lot of it off of his gran.
Yeah,
and then he opened his own street food.
There was a van
thing.
first, wasn't it?
Yeah, van.
Speed
That's it. And then Rana and Kate shagged in it, and so decided to open a restaurant. And
with
then
plenty
he
of soft
buggered off.
furnishings for them to carry on.
And plenty of money from his wife's family's guilt.
Yeah. What do you reckon? 2 or a 3 for him?
3, I want him to come back. I think
I want him to, only because I'm worried about the Nazirs just kind of
they need a
dwindling
legacy,
away.
don't they? I tell you what would be good if he came back and he had a wife and kids, and we get a new generation of
Nazirs in the show,
Nazirs
because
and also Asian
it
characters.
feels like the Nazirs have broken the curse of that house, haven't they? Because
definitely.
in the 30 years that house has been built, it's just been disaster after disaster living there.
I don't know, Jeff's a disaster living there.
That's true. And I'd like, I when it was Stuart Blackburn that introduced the Nazir family, and they had a lot of slack, didn't they? They had a lot of criticism at the beginning. Flack, that's it. They picked up a lot of flack at the beginning, and people saying, "Oh, here we go, trying to introduce another family." And I was like, "No, there's something about this family that I like, so I want to keep hold of them."
They definitely had. This family was way more charismatic than the Mortons and the Harrises. And like I said, so we've got Asha and Adi. Although they have got a Hindu background and the Nazirs have got a Muslim background, Adi and Asha are growing up of being teens now. I think they're young adult characters. We don't have any young Asian characters. I would love it if Zidane came with a wife.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that. I'd be intrigued.
Yeah.
No, Rana.
Rana.
I loved Rana.
Bhavna is so beautiful and talented.
She was a fantastic actress, I thought, and I like Rana. I think I'm right in saying right from the beginning something about her sparked my interest.
Was such a complex character that they sort of. There's so much they could have done with her because she came in and she was clearly there was so much under the surface. She reminds me a bit of Claudia, where there's so much unspoken trauma and intrigue in her backstory. She came from a devout family, arguably even more devout. Well, not devout. It's the word. What am I looking for? Strict.
Yeah.
Very, very strict because her family was prepared to fly her. Was it to Pakistan?
I can't remember.
To avoid the scandal. It's nothing to do with religion, really. It's to do with being absolute bastards.
She herself wasn't, was she?
No. This is what I'm trying to say. In my clumsy way, I'm trying to say. Rana was a girl who had relationships with married men. I think she was drinking. She was doing lots of things that her family did not approve of. But she could prove herself. She was responsible. She was a nurse. She'd gone through all that training. She was a caring person. So she was very complicated. And then she got into this relationship with Kate, and she was married. She was a straight woman. She'd never questioned her sexuality. Suddenly falls in love with a woman and has to sort of turn her whole life upside down. My personal feelings about that aside, very, very interesting and deep character. Far more complicated than Kate,
who was as shallow as a puddle, and that relationship dragged her down a little bit, really, didn't it?
It didn't do her any favours.
But I tell you what, she had a good death.
And I feel so much for Bhavna, who was such a trooper, and she was so loyal to Rana as a character that she refused to leave the show. She made them kill her off because she wanted to be true. And the fans, I wouldn't even call them fans, the people that were following that story chose some of them, not all of them, turned on her for that decision, and I think that was really wrong.
Totally. It's
And
yeah,
it's
she had
sad.
to
It's sad
put
that
up
it
with an
turns out
awful
like
lot.
that, because I think she could have left
Mm.
and come back at another point. I don't know. I
But-
don't know what they Rana.
I really wish that they hadn't killed her off as much as I enjoyed the factory roof collapse.
Oh yeah,
I don't feel
and,
that-
and the tragedy of dying on your wedding day. My goodness,
that
what a
was
soapy
the
thing to do.
melodrama there was just
And she only went back to get her
bucketfuls.
bag.
I know. I don't know whether we can give her more than the 3, just
But
because
if
she wasn't
Sedan
really
gets
in
a
it.
3, she gets a 4.
I don't think she gets a 4. I don't think she's important
Who's
enough.
scoring?
You are scoring. You can give her a 4 if you like. I'm just saying. I don't think she was important enough
But
to get a
if
4.
you get a roof collapsed on you, it's kind of like being the Wicked Witch of the West.
Is this like how thing you got an extra point for being exploded, and now she's
Yeah,
getting an extra point
She
for having
does.
the roof fall on her?
Listen, the Wicked Witch of the West was one of the most important characters in The Wizard of Oz.
Fine. I would have given her a 3,
She
but
dies
I
at the
accept
beginning,
your
spoiler
decision to give her a
alert.
4. Andy
Oh,
Carver.
Andy! Oh no! Another victim of Pat Phelan along with
very more
Luke.
tragic. Look at
Oh,
that.
I absolutely love Oliver Farnworth for his services to Coronation Street, for keeping his mouth shut about the fact that he was filming. I just think I want to give him
such a good
an
twist.
Oscar. What a fantastic guy to keep this secret, because he knew how much people would love this reveal.
So he came in pretending to be someone else as well, didn't he? He was supposed to be
Gavin.
Gavin Rodwell.
Yes.
And he tricked Michael Rodwell, who I assume is coming up soon.
I found the reasoning behind this to be completely ridiculous. He tricked Michael into thinking that he was the son because he had also had a deadbeat dad who treated him wrong, and he wanted to get revenge
Yeah.
on behalf of all the children who'd been wronged by their awful fathers. So he decided to spin an elaborate ruse and also get his gas bill paid at the same time.
Yeah.
That bit where Michael sits on the sofa and flicks through the...
Oh yeah, the photo album realises.
And another thing I really liked about Andy...
Is Michael next? I know I went down a little bit further. Yeah. Let's talk about these two together.
The other good thing I liked about Andy that they threw in and they didn't need to was the fact that he liked to write, and he wanted an
I'd
aspiring...
forgotten about that.
He was an aspiring
going to do a
author,
novel, wasn't
and
he?
he was
It
writing a zombie
novel or
book.
something. Yeah,
And I just loved that. And he basically turned into a zombie, dwelling in the basement, chained to the wall, being
Yeah.
fed insects.
Tell you what, and then his death was like, it is up there.
dark,
It is up
absolutely
there in my
dark.
top Coronation Street deaths ever.
But before that point, he was a fairly insipid...
Yeah, he
character.
was. I think he's one that's only been gone from the show, less than 5 years now. So he's there in the forefront of our minds.
He's a
because
very
he's
handsome
recent.
chap. I just...
I would say like a 3 for him.
A 3.
And that's good score for somebody who wasn't in it very long, and as you
No.
said, was fairly bland, but he was involved in some great
When he
storylines,
made
and he was the fact that he was
a
tied up
paperclip
with Pat
house.
Phelan. Oh gosh, you're making me cry. Okay.
I loved this story so much.
Well, here's somebody else from it, Michael Rodwell. Les Dennis, you showed us, didn't you, Les? You're an actor. You're not just a
us.
game show host.
I don't know if you showed everybody, but some people won't see, even if you
I loved Michael Rodwell.
take their cataracts out.
Absolutely loved it. He came in as part of the what was it called? Redemption. Forgive your robber program. I can't remember what it's called. Restorative justice program, because he was
Give a Scally a chance.
he'd robbed Gail, hadn't he? And his first scene was
Oh,
involved
he
him
was-
being
it
caught
was
and
like
then
a
chased
very-
down the street.
It was also a very feeble attempt to address the economic crisis that we were going through, where people were like sleeping in their cars. And his story was that he lost his house and his family,
Yeah.
and he was homeless, and
Fell
he
on
had
hard
to
times.
had to steal to survive. What a load of rubbish! But anyway,
The
it
relationship,
doesn't really
the romance
matter.
that
Him
was
and Gail, they ruined it by making him go with Eileen.
I
Oh,
shouldn't
and
have done
he had an ice cream van.
Gail had a string of bad relationships, and Michael
was
Rodwell.
the best thing that's ever happened to Gail.
Wow.
Sorry,
Blimey.
that's what I think. Les Dennis
No, you're right. I think
is another one who I think Coronation Street almost doesn't deserve.
Oh, I just feel so bad for the criticism that he got. But
People are so
good.
horrible to him on social media, and it is unwarranted because he is talented and he cares about doing a good job.
Mm.
You know, some people can be very talented, but not really bother beyond that. But I think he puts a lot of work in.
His character was so sweet and innocent. And I know he was, stolen away from Eileen, like you said, and then it got a bit silly.
That got stupid.
But you know what? The writing was on the wall for him as soon as they gave him a heart condition, wasn't it? It's like, he's going to have a heart attack.
Hereditary heart condition that my son's just died of,
Yeah.
but I'm still going.
And do you remember that heart attack he had in the builder's yard? And when Pat Phelan was up there and he falls down the stairs, and then Pat looks over the barrier and goes, "Look, no hands."
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say his number was up as soon as he became rivals with Pat Phelan. Because I think that was really what we want. If he hadn't died of a heart attack then, it would have been as another point with a shovel through the face or something.
His death, again, Pat Phelan didn't kill him, but he watched him die.
Well, I loved Michael Rodwell. I thought he was fantastic. I think Les Dennis is so underappreciated.
Yeah. But I mean, it sounds only in it for a short amount of time.
He's a 4.
Yeah, he's a 4 for us.
He was one of those characters that I just really, really liked.
Yeah, I
and Les Dennis is so talented.
Quickly.
I don't really know what preconceptions I had of Les Dennis coming in.
Mine was he's just a game show host.
But I don't think I ever. He was on ITV.
Yeah, he
I never
Family
watched
Fortunes.
any of the shows that he was in. I just thought, he's famous as an entertainer. I don't think I was sort of biased against him. But
we've also seen
him
in Panto since, haven't we?
With
Conor McIntyre, he was really, really
and
good.
Conor McIntyre as Panto dames.
But they just had an awesome chemistry together. Yeah, butting heads on Corrie. Brilliant.
This is such a golden era.
Here's somebody else that's been involved in the Pat Phelan storyline. Nicola.
Nicola, she's the secret daughter of Pat Phelan.
Yes.
He was born of rape.
Really interesting character as well, and I loved that she could stand up to Pat Phelan. She had a lot of chutzpah, didn't she?
She is still linked to the street because she is the mother of Gary's child.
Yes, Zach. Really enjoyed her being part of the show.
Did you say chutzpah because she's Jewish?
I didn't, but
and that
it does
doesn't
make
really come into it apart from one time when she had a Friday night dinner
for summer
and everybody criticised it because she was being far too flippant or something.
She was great. She was the foil that Pat Phelan needed. I remember. Do you remember like the scene at the lake?
Yes.
When he's like, I can't remember what he said when he was hitting himself on the head. Going, Nicola.
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
The story only benefited. It was a great story before she came along because she was originally Seb's social worker, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And Seb was obviously kind of Phelan's little protege as well.
Yeah.
It
was all very
everything about that story.
It's such a good story. I don't know why people don't like it.
Lots of people do. I just don't think they like it as much as we did.
Oh, it was so well done. All these people came in and were involved in this story, and it made them all better characters.
Yeah, everyone that story touched, it was a kiss of life. It's that's not the right word. Turn them to gold. It was like
it turned them to God.
It was the Midas touch that story did, because like with Andy, he was bland character, but involved in the Pat Phelan storyline.
Put him in the basement. Suddenly I'm interested.
Steph as well.
Yes, Luke.
Yeah, totally. Oh man, brilliant.
Oh well, we see it's like again. I was thinking this earlier today. I was like, have we?
There was a good, 15 years between Hillman and Hillman and Phelan, and
I know, but the thing is, though, you have to realistically think to yourself. At some point, you will have seen your favourite ever Coronation Street storyline, and that's it. And I just, I'm glad. I guess that what I'm trying to say is, don't cry because it's over, laugh because it happened.
Yeah.
And it was good, wasn't it?
So what are we giving Nicola? Not in it for very long.
She's not
a compelling character while she was here.
I think a 3. What do you think? 3.
I could be talked into a 4. If you were going to go for a 4, I would have been like, yeah, I agree.
I'll give her a 3.
Okay, fine. Who we got now? No, this is who I was referring to earlier.
This is interesting.
Our Emmerdale alumnus. Now back to Emmerdale, of course, playing Kim Tate.
I think people were disappointed with Erica, but I really liked her. I found her very interesting. I thought she was great.
No.
Screw you. I think the thing about it was I really enjoyed the story that she had with Nick, where She was an older woman who found that she had an opportunity to have a child, and she decided to take it, but then she lost the baby, and that really spoke to me. And I think that Claire King did a really good job of portraying it. I thought that she was sassy and fun. I like the fact that she was an older woman, but she was still sexy, and she still played the field and knew what she wanted, and she could get younger men. I thought that was good.
I just don't feel like the show knew what to do with her.
No, they didn't really know what to do with her.
Oh,
She
look
was
at her.
like,
She's a mink. She's a
look,
cougar. She's a
it's
man-eater.
Liz, but she doesn't have a family.
Yeah. And so there were long periods of time that we didn't see
Look
her.
at her though in that picture. She looks like a Disney villain, doesn't she? Like a sexy Disney
Totally does.
seductress.
But she wasn't villainous, although I did enjoy the showdown that she had with Anna. You remember when Anna was going out with Kevin and Erica tried to lure Kevin up to that hotel, and Anna dolled herself up and was like, "You leave my man."
Yeah. And she was like, "Well, no hard feelings."
Yeah. She's not left a mark on the street for me, honestly. I couldn't give her more than a 2. Really?
I liked Erica.
No.
I'll give her a 3.
Okay. Aidan is next.
Aidan's a tricky one. I had my very, very heavy criticisms of Aidan as a character and Shane Ward's performance as Aidan. I found it difficult to warm to him. I don't think you were supposed to like him that much.
I was pleasantly surprised because, I mean, like with Kim Marsh coming in from Hearsay, he had to battle against people saying, what's he doing? He's just a pop star. He's not an actor.
Yeah. I found his delivery to be a bit clipped, and I think, I don't know what it was about him, but at the beginning I found him to be a bit underwhelming. But as he went on...
He wasn't the most exciting character to begin with, that's fair to say.
As he went on, I think he grew in talent, and I think he put the work in to... And I'm not going to say... I can't say the same thing about Kim Marsh because I don't really remember what I thought of her when she came in. I don't think I had very strong opinions about what I anticipated. But I did give Shane Ward a harder time.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Yeah.
In my mind for what I expected of him. And he got
together with Maria, didn't he? And he was having that affair. Who did he go out with first?
I don't remember, but he came in.
He was going out with Eva, and then he had the affair with Maria, and that's what's kicked off the revenge story when Eva, went on the rampage.
Yeah.
And she...
He had a hard climb, and he did a good job, and he, like I said, he was diligent and did it.
He was likeable. They did a really good job, I think, in his final 6 months or so.
I don't think so.
Making him likeable, so that when that death came, and it was almost out of nowhere, and I know it was announced a little bit beforehand.
You didn't involve yourself in it.
No, but
I'm going to say I don't think he was likeable. I thought they did a good job of showing him detaching slowly from life, which was a very tragic and sad.
There were lots of little clues that were dropped in, weren't there?
It was like a beautiful tragedy.
Yeah, it really, really was. It was very, very well done.
And the final scene of him crying, is so poignant.
Yeah.
And he was so lost. And I think Shane Ward just really managed to
he pulled it off with aplomb.
He did. He did a really, really good job of a really difficult, sensitive subject, and the writing and everything was well done, and the end, all the clues, and although it wasn't supposed to be like a mystery, it did feel a little bit like go back and you see the clues and you put them all together. But it was for such a serious and important topic, and it was really good. Shane Ward was threw himself into that role, and it was so melancholy as well.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It's difficult.
3.
It is a 3 though.
Yeah. He mostly remembered for his exit.
It was a massive.
Story.
He had a massive impact though. I mean, the exit storyline was
huge, up
there with and it wasn't just a good story. It was a significant story, and it was a well done. And I don't like I use the word like beautiful tragedy, but I don't want to glamorize what happened to him, because I think there's a real danger of doing that. But I think that the other characters in the wake of what happened did a great job of deconstructing it and making it into something sickening and hard, and just awful.
That
you know.
episode when
Johnny
he was,
found
oh
him,
my gosh.
what a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
And
Richard
even
totally well.
Kate, her reaction too, being angry.
Everyone, all the
And
characters
Beth
had
saying
very
he was
different.
selfish. I just thought, what a fantastic, great, really good.
Yeah.
And his scene with Eva, I could go on for hours about this.
Okay.
It was just a very, very
Look
tragic
who's
story.
next. Oh, look at that cheeky little look
Oh,
at
you
her.
couldn't give me a low mark. He's got a 3. Look up there.
She's
like, "Cool."
She's saying, what's it
She's
he
like,
got?
he's got 3.
Oh, but I'm better than him.
But I'm
clearly
Kate.
the
I'm going
better
to get a
sibling.
4 at least.
No, you're not getting a 4, Kate.
No, you're not
2.
going to get a 4.
You can't give her a 3. She is not a 3. She is self-centered, selfish.
Look, she as far as significance goes in recent years, she's a 3. But because I don't like her, I guess you can justify taking a
Yes,
mark off.
I think you totally can.
And I'm not convinced that all the way through Coronation Street knew that she was supposed to be unlikable, because they definitely leaned into that
They did lean
in her
into
final
it, yeah,
months.
with the Rana stuff, because Kate wanted a baby, didn't they? And
And
Rana
I
wasn't
don't think,
sure.
honestly, I don't think that if she was ever supposed to be played as a selfish, stupid, ignorant, spoilt,
No,
entitled brat,
But
but
she
she
came across
was.
that
She
way.
came into the show. She walks into that. She didn't have a job, did she? And then she went into the factory like, oh, I'm going to try and earn a living for once. Oh, everyone applaud me for wanting to get my hands dirty. And what's she
get
doing
her dungarees
there?
on.
Oh yeah, I'm going to wear dungarees because I'm a working lady. Oh.
There was the story with
I wish
Kaz,
Kaz had killed her.
the murder mystery, which was a bit weird. And then the Rana Kana story, banana.
Rana Kana banana split.
Yeah.
That's what she did.
2, come on, it's got to be 2 for her.
Don't like Kate.
Sorry, Kana fans.
Never liked Kate.
No. Freddie.
Oh, I liked Freddie.
Oh.
Oh, will you paint my dead wife's nails? Yes, that's not
Look,
weird
it's my
at all.
motorbike. And that's the end of my character.
Bye. I'm an old man, but I'm a mechanic.
He was in it for
They
like a
don't
year,
make them
wasn't
like
he?
they used
I
to.
wanted to make him Luke's dad.
Yeah, I know that was a massive. He's black. Makes sense to me.
No, they look similar in the face.
They do
got
they
very
do have
similar
a bit of
features.
a similar. They also both have the same
He
beard.
was very chill, wasn't he?
He was a chill guy. It was nice. It was nice to see. I mean,
Chill
have
to-
we ever had an
to
older
bland.
black guy in the show as a regular character?
Well, we've got old Ed now, haven't we?
No, before then. That's what I meant.
No, I'm not sure. I don't
Before
think so.
Freddie came along.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's got to be a 2, hasn't he?
What?
Come on. He was okay. He wasn't a great character. He made no impact on
I
the
wish
street.
he was in it longer.
He came in it as part of, was it Kylie's leaving story or towards Kylie's
I don't
final
think
months on the
I
street?
don't know.
Because she was the person, Kylie was painting his dead wife's nails, wasn't she? And they built up a bit of a friendship, and then she kicked the bucket. No,
I missed him.
I don't.
You're just cruel.
Come back in 10 years
No, I'm
and
gonna
tell
give
me
him a
what
3.
about Freddie.
I don't care what you think. I'll give him a
Okay.
3. Derek Griffiths, also a beloved
Very
icon
true, very
in
true.
this country.
Ooh. Hello, it's Dr. Barlow, I presume.
I love you, Jude. Tell me about
Tell me about the dolphins.
Tell me all about your marine biologist background. I thought Jude came in and he was just like.
Oh, I didn't like
when
that
he Listen, when he
story.
came in at Christmas, like, I'm your son, and everyone was like, huh? And then he went away and you're like, look, we can forget this. It's fine. And then he came back again and went, no. Guess what? I'm still here. And he was just this big lunky idiot who just was bland. He was like just Tyrone but giant. And
Tyrone's not bland.
Tyrone is bland.
No, he's not.
He is, I'm afraid.
Oh.
And then he suddenly turns into a pathological liar. And I'm like, tell me more. I find this very intriguing.
That was so funny. It was ridiculous, but it was funny. It brought in a lot of humour.
No, listen, but also...
Let's get Angie up on the screen as well, who I
I'm
believe is
also
our,
going to
these are our
say
last 2
that I
for the day.
think that Coronation Street inadvertently stumbled across a fairly interesting real-life kind of issue They didn't treat it like an issue, but there are people in the world who are pathological liars, and they don't even know why they're lying half the time.
Yeah.
And I wish that we had tackled a bit more of the psychology behind what it was that made Jude. And I mean, I can understand if he was abandoned as a baby, and then he lived in South Africa. I don't really know how that happened, and I don't really understand why they picked South Africa, because it's a very weird country with a lot of turmoil and political upheaval to have somebody come from and then never mention anything like, oh yeah, my friends and family are going through this, that and the other thing. And a mixed race couple as well in South Africa.
I know.
It just seems like it's like having a family coming in and go, yeah, we're from Iraq, but we're not going to talk about it. Why would you? I don't understand it. Anyway, so the way that he just and then he became a doctor.
Remember the dinner party when he had
His
those two
thespian
active
friends.
friends to pretend that they were his colleagues at the Sea Life. No, what was it? No, he worked at the Sea Life Centre.
He works in the gift shop.
Oh,
at the
that's
Sea
right.
Life
Yeah.
Centre.
Whereas he told Angie that he was.
That's the thing.
scientists
It
there.
wasn't just like he made this up for like a 5-minute gag or like to try to impress somebody in a shop. He literally lied to his wife.
There are shades of John Stape in Jude Appleton. I can't put him on the
criminal.
same pedestal as the great Stape.
But really, Jude has got so much potential. I'd love to see him come back. I just love the idea that you can not trust a word that he says, and he doesn't even know why he's lying.
Oh, his exit when Mary came to see him in Blackpool, and then he was like, "Oh, I'll meet you at the car."
Oh yeah, she bought him an
Never
ice
did.
cream.
Yeah.
I thought that he instantly intrigued me completely when it turned out he was a fraud.
I think
And-
you ended up liking him more than I did.
Yeah.
I would go for a 2 for him, but I've
I'll
got
give
a
him a
feeling you're
3.
going to give him a 3. Yeah.
And I really liked Angie too, because again, I was mentioning before with who was the physiotherapist?
Jenna.
Jenna was like a proto Angie, but even Angie, I hope she's a proto someone in the future, maybe Dee Dee, in that she is a professional, middle class, black woman who is well put together. She's like an ideal that you would look up to, somebody that you can look up to.
Thing with Angie is I found her a bit more interesting than Jude, but I don't think that she did anything quite as interesting as the whole pathological liar.
No,
she almost had postnatal depression. They kind of skirted around
they
it.
didn't
They were
really
like,
go anywhere
oh,
with
she's a
it.
bit sad after she's had a baby.
And
but
they went, we're
let's
going to
not-
use this for someone else later.
They basically did. They put it in a box to keep warm for a few years for Gemma.
I think she reminds me a bit of Paula in that she's kind of remote. She's difficult to read. She hasn't got very many female friends or any friends at all particularly.
Yeah.
But
But tell you what, she was very good at doing everybody's books.
She was a hustler.
She was the accountant for every single businessman on that street for a 6-month period.
Yeah, I liked, there was a lot of potential with Angie, but she was ultimately...
Was she friends with Toya? Or am I making that up?
She did have I think she did have a friend, but it wasn't as though I felt like, oh, through this friendship, I'm understanding the character of Angie so much better.
So what are you giving her? 3 or a 2?
I think she was friends with Toya.
Yeah.
I'll give her a 2 because she wasn't as interesting
No.
as Jude.
No. And it was literally just what they stumbled upon him.
It was so like a happy accident. Like, I just imagine somebody in the writing room, wouldn't it be funny if and everyone went, no, say that again. He's what? He's a fake marine biologist. Do they even have those?
Dear.
What a stupid thing to lie about. I guess, though, if you're going to lie about anything, you lie about something really, really obscure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because astronauts
Do you remember
too
when
cool.
Mary went and tried to learn a load of marine biology facts herself? So
And she was
should have
trying to
something
tell him stuff and
with
he
him?
was just nonplussed
Oh, wow.
completely.
So we've reached the end of the 2010s now, and that takes us up to modern day. But there is one more category. That's right, left for us to talk about. The Corriepedia have saved the till last, and maybe it will be the best till last. Because tell you what, we love a good villain, and that is what next week's episode is going to be all about. Very, very excited to talk about that one. But you know what? Considering we said that there weren't very many characters in the 2010s, we've actually talked for quite a long time
I
about
said
these.
it would take us 20 minutes to
I know
do
you
this.
did, and it's like over an hour so far. Yeah, every so often I've been like moving the mouse around a little bit just to make this worth being a video. Not frozen, everybody. Look, Ooh,
We're
it's
demonetised
Angie.
anyway because we mentioned lots of things you're not
We
supposed
don't
to
make
say.
any money.
I know
off
we
of
don't
that.
make any money off of
Right,
YouTube.
come on, let's go. I need to do my little outro video.
Michael, have you seen? Oh, where's he gone? Wait a minute. What is this?